Well, and on that uplifting note, I am going to share screens and read from the Declaration of Universal Interdependence. I'll begin to read from the Declaration. Everyone that's on the Zoom call has a copy of this, and hopefully you can follow along as we go through it. For those that are not on the Zoom call, jump onto the Facebook page. That's where you will be able to download your copy. So starting from the preamble, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for the people of the world to transcend the limitations of self-interest and division and to embrace a higher state of universal consciousness, it is incumbent on all atoms of source to declare the causes which compel us to this transformation. The principles of universal empowerment. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all atoms of source, animate and inanimate, sentient or otherwise, are endowed with inalienable rights to experience themselves as eternal souls connected to source in universal consciousness. That through their individual expression of passion and purpose, they contribute to universal consciousness in order to perpetuate joy, love, abundance, freedom, health, success, security, companionship, creativity, peace, life, wholeness, beauty, enthusiasm, contentment, spirituality, enlightenment, confidence, empowerment, sincerity, integrity, imagination, and kindness. This is because the primary purpose of life, in its broadest sense, is to expand universal consciousness. And in synergy with this, the primary purpose of individual life is to pursue one's passion and purpose in a way that uplifts all of humanity in service to the collective. I want to come back to that, just that paragraph in a second. And so in keeping with the original Declaration of Independence, in this document, we then list a series of grievances, and I will go through those. The present state of humanity is a history replete with repeated injuries and usurpations, all of which individually and collectively are an assault on the empowerment of individuals and an affront to the universal empowerment of all atoms of source. To prove this, let these facts be submitted to candid scrutiny. Number one, autocrats, dictators, and powermongers oppress, control, and limit the freedom and potential of individuals and communities. Number two, self-interest and greed prioritize personal gain over the well-being of others and the planet. Three, war and conflict destroy lives, displace communities, and create long-lasting suffering and trauma. Four, hunger and poverty deprive individuals of basic needs in a world of abundant resources. Five, lack of abundant energy suppresses the potential of billions and creates lack, need, and want, holding humanity in a lower state of consciousness. That's a biggie. We might come back to that one. Number six, corrupt institutions engage in abuse of power and perpetuate systems that benefit a few at the expense of the many. Number seven, failed governance systems do not represent the interests of the people or protect their rights. Eight, economic systems focused on profit over purpose promote morally corrupt behavior and misconduct for financial gain. Number nine, secret agendas undermine transparency, trust, and democratic processes. 10, inequality and injustice create divisions and suffering through racial, gender, economic, and social disparities. 11, extremism and hate-fueled violence disrupt peace and harmony through acts of terrorism and violence. Number 12, Overpopulation strains resources and ecosystems and exacerbates population issues due to lack of family planning and education. 13. Environmental degradation destroys natural habitats and biodiversity through pollution, deforestation, and exploitation. 14. Insertion of man-made religions in public office taint public policy and governance, locking into the consciousness of the collective a corrupt notion of source and universal law. 15. Suppression of self-regulated free speech interrupts the natural flow of energy and censors the expression of creativity and innovation, which are the natural preconditions for the evolution of higher consciousness. 16. Economic exploitation dehumanizes workers and violates their rights through exploitative labor practices. Number 17. Educational inequality limits opportunities for many through disparities in access to quality education. 18. Health disparities create inequitable access to healthcare services and resources. 19. Technological oppression infringes on privacy and civil liberties through surveillance technologies. 20. Cultural harmonization erodes cultural diversity and indigenous traditions through globalization and cultural imperialism. 21. Mental health crisis is neglected in societal structures, leading to stigma and lack of support for individuals facing mental health challenges. 22. Abuse of science and technology develops and deploys technologies without ethical considerations and for harmful purposes. 23. Corporate influence in politics gives undue influence to corporate interests in political decision-making. 24. Agricultural practices harm the environment and human health through industrial farming and monopolization of seeds and resources. 25. Water scarcity and pollution contaminate and deplete water resources critical for life. 26. Displacement and migration forces people to move due to conflict, environmental disasters, and economic hardship without support or humane treatment. 27. Intellectual property monopolies restrict access to knowledge and innovation through strict intellectual property laws. 28. Violence against women and children is prevalent through domestic violence, trafficking, and exploitation without protection or support for victims. 29. Apathy and indifference towards global issues and suffering of others leads to failure to act collectively for the common good. 30. Loss of community and connection breaks down community bonds and social connection in modern society, leading to isolation and loneliness. 31. Incursion into private lives by government and legal systems violate the fundamental human rights to universal empowerment and autonomy over personal freedoms, such as limiting women's reproductive rights. 32. Lack of quality, affordable housing deprives many individuals and families of safe and secure living conditions, thereby impeding their ability to thrive and contribute to universal empowerment. 33. Unfettered development and abuse of artificial intelligence prioritize profit and control over ethical considerations, infringing on privacy, autonomy, and the dignity of individuals, and threatening the balance of universal empowerment. 34. The inability of laws and constitutions to evolve and adapt to the needs of the times restricts the progress and well-being of individuals and societies, hindering their capacity to achieve universal empowerment and contribute to the collective growth of consciousness. And lastly, 35. The media's role in perpetuating propaganda, lies, conspiracies, and tribalism manipulates public perceptions, fosters division and mistrust, and undermines the informed and enlightened state necessary for universal empowerment and collective harmony. And so with those 35 grievances, and there could have been many others, but even those are quite the list, there is then a declaration of intent. We, therefore, being the representatives of humanity and appealing to the supreme consciousness of the universe for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the enlightened people of this world, solemnly publish and declare that all beings are and of right ought to be free and interdependent entities, absolved from all forms of tyranny and oppression. They are endowed with the power to pursue their passion and purpose and to do all acts and things which interdependent and empowered beings may do of right, do in the service of advancing universal consciousness. And the vision for the future. For the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of universal consciousness, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We envision a future where every being thrives in a state of universal empowerment, contributing to the expansion of universal consciousness through their unique expression of passion and purpose, living in perpetual joy, love, abundance, freedom, health, success, and all of the other descriptors, Jen, that you use to reflect universal empowerment.
God, babies, that's beautiful.
So why don't we get a couple of people off mute for a second and share some thoughts about that?
If you like this content and you appreciate the work that we're doing to uplift all of humanity and to help heal your body, mind, and soul, please consider becoming a Jenuine Healing premium content subscriber. Simply jump onto the Jenuine Healing website, genuinehealing.com with a J, and click on the purchase button on the top menu. Scroll down, there's a premium content option. Click on that, sign up. It's a simple monthly plan for $20 a month, and you will have access to all of the premium content that we put up on the Jenuine Healing website. We look forward to catching you next time, and bye for now.